The magnetic field of the root of the nose. The first chamber of the igneous road that leads from the middle brow to the heart is in the root of the nose. Knock strongly on the doors of this chamber, O Arhat. Subtle temptations assault you in the world of the cosmic mind, Netzach. Wealth is offered to you, along with erotic opportunities for your sublime goals. However, you must remain alert like the watchman in the time of war, because these fine ordeals are dangerous, O Arhat. There is a magnetic field in the root of the nose, where the solar and lunar atoms of our seminal system come into contact. This contact is possible only by means of sexual magic, because the nasal cavities are intimately related with the church of the coccyx by means of the two ganglionic cords of our spinal medulla. The yogis of India achieve this contact of solar and lunar atoms in the root of their nose and in their Muladhara chakra by means of pranayama and chastity. When we practice sexual magic intensely, the pure akasha circulates through the sushumna channel, and its two solar and lunar currents make contact in the magnetic field of the nose. These are the three vital airs of the Brahmanic cord. These three vital airs are governed by the innermost, by means of the strength of his willpower. These solar and lunar channels must be totally pure so that the solar and lunar currents can circulate freely through its ganglionic cords, and in order for the pure akasha of the sushumna channel to flow freely through the spinal column. This is the reason why every type of fornication is forbidden for Gnostics, as well as for yogis and mystics. When these three vital airs are strengthened by the might of willpower, then fornicators are converted into black magicians. However, the holy and chaste human beings are converted into white magicians. Therefore, Parsival and Omar Serenzi Lin's course of sexual magic that teaches how to mix these three vital airs with fornication and with scientific seminal ejaculation, orgasm, converts human beings into black magicians. During the sexual act, our seminal substance descends into its corresponding cavity. When this seminal substance is spilled, we then lose millions of Christic solar atoms. Instantaneously, these solar atoms are substituted by millions of demonic atoms, which are collected from the infernos of the human being. These demonic atoms enter into the Brahmanic cord by means of the contractions of the orgasmic movements. Thus, if we strengthen the three vital airs of pure akasha by means of our willpower, then the mixing of akasha with these demonic atoms, which were collected from the infernos of the human being, result in the awakening of the luciferic serpent, Kundalini. Hence, this is a negative and demonic way. Accordingly, with the awakening of tantric powers, the inferior quaternary ends by divorcing itself from the divine triad. This is how that quaternary converts itself into a perverse demon of the abyss. This separation is done when the bridge known as Antakalana is broken. This cord connects the inferior quaternary with the divine triad. The Antakalana corresponds to the umbilical cord of the fetus. The tenebrous and negative sexual magic of the black magician Omar Serenzi Lind and the traitor Parsival Crumheller mixes the satanic atoms which are collected by the sexual organs after the tantric ejaculation, orgasm, with the three vital airs and fortifies them. This is how they awake the igneous serpent in the negative way, the Kundalini. This is how the disciples of Cherenzi Lind and the disciples of the traitor Parsival Crum Heller are separated from their divine triad, and how they convert themselves into perverse demons. A movement of Akashic circulation is established from Sushumna, Ida, and Pingala that flows through the entire body. The magnetic field of the nose is a battlefield and a place of vigilance. The defensive atoms of the organism have their place of vigilance in this field that impedes the entering of indolent and malignant atoms, which produce many types of sicknesses. The transformation atoms and the aspiring atoms of our organism enter through this magnetic field in order to place themselves under the service of the nous atom of the heart. All the processes of the great initiations are performed in the secret ardent chambers of the Sushumna channel. The four great initiations of major mysteries are Srotapana, Sakridagamen, Anagamen, Arhan. These are the four paths that lead to Nirvana. However, even when the Arhat is an adept, he still must raise the fifth, sixth, and seventh serpents of his eternal divine triad in order to convert himself into an Arhat of the mist of fire. These are the 7 great initiations of major mysteries. These are the 7 serpents that the human being must raise by intensely practicing sexual magic with his spouse. They can also be raised by means of the strength of the sacrifice of a total and definitive sexual abstination, as performed by the authentic yogis who follow the path of perfection, or as performed by the sublime mystics Ramakrishna, Francis of Assisi, or Antonio of Padua. The masters of the 7th ardent scale are only one step from the fundamental root of their hierarchy. This fundamental root of the white hierarchy is found enclosed in the Bagnano Humano. This marvelous being is the master of masters of the Great White Lodge. He is Sanat Kumara, the founder of the College of Initiates of the Universal White Fraternity. He has been incarnate in a physical body since that time, without death having any power over him. He lives in Asia. The Arhat, who arrives to the world of the mist of fire, is one step towards the 8th and 9th initiations of the fundamental root of the hierarchy. These heights are reached by practicing sexual magic or by vowing to a total and definitive sexual abstination, as walking the path of perfect holiness. Karma is not an obstacle for this, because we can pay all our debts by sacrificing even the last drop of our blood in favor of all the human beings that populate the entire face of the earth. Behold, happy is the man whom God correcteth, therefore despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty. Ohara, whosoever has capital to pay, pays, and does well in his negotiations. 41. Perform good deeds so that you may pay your debts. 42. When an inferior law is transcended by a superior law, the superior law washes away the inferior law. 43. The lion of the law is fought with the scale. 44. Therefore, the human being can break his chains in the hour that he wishes. He can rise the 7 ardent scales and can convert himself into a dragon of wisdom within the mist of fire. 45. The primordial atom, Anu, is the purest atom that enters through the magnetic field of our nose. This atom cannot be multiplied in the pre-genetic or primal genetic state. It is an omni-gatherer. It is omniscient, omnipresent, a total sum, unlimited, and absolutely divine. All the atomic activity of the magnetic field of our nose and the chakra Muladhara is based on this atom. 46. The Fohat selects all the atoms which must penetrate through our nasal cavities. 47. The Fohat combines the distinct atomic elements for our divine goals. 48. Each human being possesses its own Fohat, and the total addition of all the Fohats constitute the universal Fohat, the universal fire of life, whose intelligent flames combine the atomic elements of space in order to fecundate the chaotic matter. 50. The mother sleeps, yet is ever breathing. The secret doctrine. 51. Each atom of the cosmos is condemned to incessant differentiations. Only Anu does not admit differentiations. 52. The breath of the Father-Mother issues cold and radiant, and gets hot and corrupt, to cool once more and be purified in the eternal bosom of inner space. The secret doctrine. 53. Everything breathes, everything flows and ebbs, everything inhales and exhales. Every phenomenon of respiration is based on the respiration of the Absolute. The Absolute inhales and exhales. Each exhalation of the Absolute is a cosmic day, and each inhalation of the Absolute is a cosmic night. When the heart of our solar system began to palpitate after the great cosmic night, it continued to repeat the inhalation and exhalation of the Absolute within the 7 Laya centers. The chaotic masses of these centers were fecundated by the Fohat in order for the 7 worlds of our solar system to emanate from the chaos. This respiration of the Absolute is repeated in the atom, in the ant, in the eagle, and in the human being. Everything flows and ebbs, everything comes and goes, everything pulses and pulses again with this rhythm of divine respiration. During the first dynasties of the pharaohs of ancient Egypt, I received the code of sexual magic in a sacred room of an ancient pyramid blackened by the sun of the desert. The master, dressed with his white tunic, was standing near a vertical rod, which symbolically represented the phallus. He carefully instructed me about the great mysteries of sex, with the solemn and austere voice of the Hierophants. While seated upon a chair, I attentively listened to the Hierophant. Then, directing his penetrating eyes towards me, with a loud and authoritative voice, he told me, "Uncover your chi-chi." I then uncovered my sexual organ, and the master told me from lips to ear the once unspeakable secret of the great arcanum, which consists in sexually connecting oneself with the spouse and withdrawing from her without seminal ejaculation, which means to restrain the sexual act. I then practiced my first ritual of sexual magic with my priestess under the direction of the Hierophant. "This is marvelous," I exclaimed. Whosoever violated this unspeakable secret, which is the great arcanum, was then condemned to death. His head was cut off, his heart was torn out, and his ashes were thrown to the 4 winds. When the semen is not spilled, then the restrained desire causes our seminal energy to rise, filled with billions of Christic atoms. With their light and splendor, these Christic atoms illuminate the 3 channels where the pure Akasha circulates. The mixture of these Christic atoms, which are the result of our semen transmuted into energy, when combined with the pure Akasha, awakens the Kundalini positively and opens its way upwards to Brahmarandra through the 33 chambers of our spinal column. This is how adepthood is achieved. I educated myself at the feet of the great Hierophants, and I knew the ancient wisdom of the ancient sages of the Temple of the Mysteries. This is why I feel nothing but infinite pity when I presently see these tiny human beings of this 20th century mystically fornicating. The Akashic breath penetrates through our nasal cavities and descends through our Brahmanic cord. When the Akasha is reinforced by our willpower and by the willpower of the cosmic hierarchies, then it descends from above, from the heavens of Urania, and it is precipitated in the profundity of our reed, producing the hissing sound of the SS. Thus, when this Akashic breath collides with the solar and lunar currents and with the Christic atoms that form the Kundalini, the sacred fire then rises one more vertebra, one more canyon in its ascension through the 33 canyons of our spinal column until reaching Brahmarandra. When the Akashic breath, reinforced by willpower, descends through our Brahmanic cord and finds atoms of fornication, satanic atoms collected from the infernos of the human being during the movements of the genital orgasmic contraction, which occurs in the seminal ejaculation, which is advised by the black magician Omar Chirenzi Lind and the lost and tenebrous Parsival Kroom Heller. Then this atom from the secret enemy enters into activity and controls the Kundalini, directing it downwards towards the submerged worlds of consciousness, thus forming the famous Kunda buffer. This is how the disciples of these black magicians separate themselves from the divine triad, Atman, Buddhi, Manas. This is how they convert themselves into tantric personalities of the abyss. The Akasha is not the ether, as many believe. The Akasha is the cause of sound, the spiritual cause of the word, the anima mundi, the divine hierarchies, whose breath enters through the magnetic field of our nose. This is why the sacred scriptures say that God blew a breath of life into the nose of Adam, and he infused a living soul into him. And the Lord Jehovah formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living soul. Genesis 2:7.